Hello friends, welcome back to another studio vlog. It is February 8th, and this is the first day that I am doing work. I've been, doing my evening stitching sessions this whole time, but this is my first day of the February Thrive Together Network Virtual Art Residency. So I just wanted to check in and let you know that January and February have become one big month to me. I didn't really differentiate very much between them because of the way things have gone with projects. I did do the Exquisite Corpse workshop on Sunday with my neighbor and fellow artist Dorothy. It went very well. I will insert some pictures of that because I wasn't really able to take video. I may have taken a little bit of video, but I didn't get a lot. That went really well. It took up a lot of my mental and space until it was happening. So I'm really glad that my mental space is cleared from that commitment. But now I am working like a crazy person. So today is all about hand stitching. I don't usually do hand stitching on studio days. That's usually something that I do in the evenings. But because I'm on a deadline with these pieces, and because I decided to add hand stitching, and I don't know if I talked about that in January, to this quilt. I distinctly said I wasn't going to put hand stitching on this quilt. But when I put it together, when I quilted it and I saw some of the white space, particularly this fabric here, I decided that I wanted some stitching. So this is just the first layer. That's this thread here that's on this section. And so all this piece, and then there's more of this fabric that kind of goes around the center area, is going to have 3 layers or potentially 4 layers of this style of stitch on it. I hope you can, yes, you can see that. Just because it's got, I realized it didn't have the hand stitch touch that it needed to really cohesively tie it to the book. And I wanted that. And I thought, you are adding hours, literally hours to this piece by doing this. So probably not the best thing to do when I'm on a deadline, but it has to be right. It has to feel like it's complete. It has to feel like it has the layers that I need it to have. And I really feel that this stitching is going to give it that depth and that sense of the hand, the personalized hand that I want it to have. So I'm giving it that time. So that's why today, as a studio day, is exclusively hand stitching, which is actually really hard to stitch for that long. I usually do about 1.5 hours to 2 hours at night while I'm watching TV or whatever. And I find that manageable because, it's the end of the day. It's a very calming activity for me. But to do it all day will mean that my body will get stiff, and I will, it gets tiring. So I'm taking mini breaks. This morning I did an hour walk with a friend, and then I came and I stitched and I chatted with my mom on FaceTime. And now I just finished a book. I also have 2 books I need to finish. My reading has been all over the place for January and February, and I'm just trying to accept that it's just going to be weird, and that's okay. So I just finished a book, got that done. Now I'm going back to do a session. So I'm probably going to commit now to sewing for 1 hour at least. I need to choose some sort of a film or a TV show that I can watch, and then I'll sew until I'm feeling hungry for lunch. Then I will take a break for lunch. I'm also trying to get some laundry done, which I'm not technically supposed to do on my studio days. But my pace of life right now is so rapid. We're busy, we've got a lot going on. There's things happening unexpectedly, and I just felt the need to get some of that laundry done and just have it in the background. Laundry is the easiest chore for me to do when I'm working because I can just go and switch loads. And I don't fold or anything right now. That'll all be later. So I am doing some laundry, but that's it. I won't do dishes or anything until my studio time is over. So picking out something to watch, hand stitching. I want to get this color finished. If I could get this color finished by like Sunday night and get on to the next colors, that would be perfect. But all I'm working on this month is this piece, the poetry book, and finishing up If I Was a River. So that's my days. My studio days are going to be all devoted to those pieces. Because we leave for South Africa at the beginning of March, and I probably won't be sewing at all in South Africa. I contemplated maybe bringing a piece of cloth and some thread because we're going to be on the plains a long time, and it's nice to kind of bring something that I'm working on when I'm there, and then I will always remember that I was working on it there. So we'll see if I put something together, but it probably will not be these things because they're too big, they're too bulky, and they're too easy to, they're too time consuming. They need to just stay here and I need to break from them. So that's my plan for today. And yeah, I'll check in again later.
Joe probably had the most doubt amongst all of us. Wasn't sure why he signed up, and I don't think it became clear even partway through it. I think his biggest point was when he got to the point where he knew the quickest way out was to continue forward. You know, it was a hard trip. It was a hard expedition.
So it seems to be no matter what terrain we choose, it's the wrong way.
There was not enough fun. Yeah, that was the one thing that I really, in retrospect, wish that there had been just more.
Good morning, everybody. It is February 15th, and today is my second studio day for the Thrive Together Art Residency. I wanted to just chat a little bit before I get started on my work today about finding flow in your process even when you don't feel like it, because that's certainly what's going on with me today. I'm on day 2 of my period. I've got a kid home who is just feeling under the weather from some immunizations. I am pretty tired out from my job, my part-time job. And I just feel like, if I'm being honest with how I feel today, I feel like I want to just curl up in a ball and kind of, watch Netflix. And I could still do that. I could sit and just hand sew because that piece is still not finished, and I could just sit there and hand sew, which is what I did last week actually. But I want to push myself a little bit. And I think when you're talking about, a lot of people talk about balance, and I've started to feel like balance is a word that is not attainable and that is actually detrimental to try to use as like a ideal, and rather what I'm trying to find is flow. So why I like flow better is because it's a sense of momentum, but it doesn't have to be, it's not so rigidly defined where it's like, I need this much work time, I need this much personal time and I'm trying to balance it, because it never balances. But if you're flowing, you can move in a slower pace if you need to. And that's what I'm going to try to do today. I'm going to move slowly. So I'm still going to be creating. I'm still going to be doing something, but I'm not going to flow quickly. It's not going to go bam, bam, bam and be super quick and be super efficient necessarily. It's just going to flow as I need it to. So it's going to go slow. I'm going to be slowly puttering, making things so that I still feel like I'm getting somewhere, that I'm actually making work and getting towards my goals. Because I have a hard set finish date here. And if I were to take today, which is my one specific studio day this week, and only do one very kind of passive part of that, there's potential that I could get behind. And I don't want to get behind. I don't want to give myself stress later on because I haven't pushed a little bit through this feeling today. So I'm going to move at a slow pace. I know self-care is very popular right now, and the idea of I need self-care. Today is my day to like not put pressure on myself. I get that. But again, when you're trying to find a flow and you're trying to move, like be true to kind of authentically your sense of making and your sense of who you are as a person, I think if I were to indulge that feeling of complete rest, I would feel not that I wasted time, but that I had something in me that could have come out. I had some energy. I had some desire. There is a desire there to make today and to get to a certain point on that making, to at least be thinking about this stuff, to have it in front of me to look at it. I don't even have to necessarily make things, but I want to be looking at them and are thinking about them and letting my brain just contemplate them in the quiet flow that is these days when I'm home. Even if I've got a kid home with me, I can still get into semi that space. It's probably the most ideal when I'm alone, but I'm not going to be alone today. So I hope that in your own creative practice or in your own creative life, you also think about that flow. And discipline is something like I pride myself on having that discipline to like push through, to do things when I need to. But I also want to be kind to myself. There's no need for me to push through and make this into some sort of a competition against my own body and against my needs. So in that flow between, curling up in a ball and pushing through and working super, super hard when I just don't have the energy, there's a space in there. And that's the space I'm trying to find, right? The space of flow between overproduction and forcing myself to do something for a deadline. It's not an arbitrary deadline. It is a true deadline. And then finding a place where I feel like at the end of the day, like, okay, I got a few things done and I was able to think and I was able to be in that space, regardless of whether or not it was like high production or just like being in that headspace, my artist headspace, which is a headspace I really enjoy having the privilege of being in a few days a week. So yeah, so that is that. And I'm gonna get going on that, get set up and putter around, and I will show you what I get up to. everyone, I realized I hadn't checked in a while. So I finished sewing the pages together, which is great. And right now I'm working on the cover for the book. And I still have one last thing left to do on the pages, which is to sew a top stitch in blue around them, but I'm not going to do that today because I want to get all of the piecing done with the white thread before I switch the thread on the machine to the blue thread. So I'll do all the blue things next week. So I'll show you what this looks like. So here are the pages, and I've just laid them out onto this blue fabric, which is going to be inside of the cover. And I was just kind of playing with the scale. It'll obviously be a bit smaller than this, but I just wanted to lay it out to have a general idea. And then I've started piecing the cover. So I'm just going to work on piecing today and finish it up next week. Good morning, everyone. Today is February 23rd, and today is probably going to be my last studio day of February. So I've been working away on the handwork on the poetry quilt, and so that's continuous. I'm going to be working on that next week as well. What I'm planning to do today is put the edges on that quilt and put the edges on the river quilt, the river piece. And then I'm also going to connect the pages. So yesterday I worked on sewing the top stitching around the tops of each page. And I also worked on the cover. The cover is a bit of a challenge for me right now. But I'm still working on that. That's also going to get some handwork. So I think the cover is not going to be done before I leave, because I'm going to do some handwork on that as well over the next week. So what I want to do today is connect the pages of the book, put the like I said, put the binding onto both those other pieces, and also create the back labels, because that's all stuff that I can do like in my work days, and then I can hand sew those on later and get those types of things done. I don't think I will do the sleeve for If I Was a River. I will wait and do that later. So I would say February was pretty productive. I don't really feel like I got as much done as I wanted to. I really wanted to be completed. I wanted these things complete before I left for South Africa, but it's not going to happen. It's just, there's just too much going on with preparing to leave and with work, preparing to leave my work as well. So I'm just going to do the best I can to get as much done as I can. And then as soon as I'm back, my studio days will be devoted to finishing those pieces and getting them ready for photography and doing the sound piece, which all needs to be done by mid-April. So I am pushing it. I am pushing it, and I do feel a bit anxious about that, but it is what it is. I only have so much time. There's been, they're just, I don't know. I feel like January and February have been these really strange months for me. I don't know if it's because of the trip and because the trip has been absorbing a lot of my time and my energy, or if it's more just settling into 2023 has been a bit more bumpy than I expected. But the work is going to get done when it gets done. I'm working away, and I need to think while I'm away about how the display of this work is going to go. I believe I'm going to make at least 2 videos, and then I'm going to have to photograph everything. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm trying to figure out the best way to document as I'm going, but then also get all these pieces complete. So that is what I am going to do today, and I will show you a bit of that. I didn't film a lot yesterday. I just wanted to work, and I just worked, and I didn't really film a lot. So try to film a bit more today, so you have a bit more visuals of what's going on. And yeah.
day job all the time, then I wouldn't have any time to spend on this art. But it's that balance, and also it's a recognition that for me right now, and I know I'm in a privileged position.
Hey everyone, so this is the end of If I Was a River. I realized I was going to roll it up and put it away before I showed you the final result, but you'll see here that all of the edges have been wrapped around and faced, and then there is the back tag right there. So yeah, this is it. This is it finished. The only thing that's left to put on this is the sleeve. And for quilts, the sleeve is the piece of fabric that you attach to the back that allows you to slide a rod through to hang it up. But I'm not going to do that right now because I just need to get this kind of wrapped up and rolled up and put away. And then when it comes closer to time for this to be exhibited, then I will put the sleeve on the back and probably give it a good like press along these lines as well, which I haven't really done yet either. So that is If I Was a River completed. This piece is, you know, about a year. It took me about a year. I started it, I think, in January of 2022. So don't know what's coming next, but this one is complete.